Hello everybody, welcome back to my channel. My name is David from Daveden Web Dev, and on this channel I like to talk about all things WordPress, especially about accessibility and dynamic data. If you can see me, if you can hear me, please let me know in the comments. My setup changed a little bit because I did an update and it just basically wrecked my live streaming. So we're going to figure things out today. This is one note to self: don't update just right before going live. It can create problems. But yeah, with that being said, today we'll just be talking about one question that I've been seeing a lot in the Builderius community about templates in Builderius. A lot of confusion. There's been lots of people talking about templates and not really understanding with the way templates work, because I think with previously, if you're coming from somewhere like Elementor or the Bricks version or any of the other page builder type of system, there is a kind of system that we're used to whereby you create your header, your footer template, as it's called, in the template section. Then you go ahead and create your single post template, your single page template, your archive templates, and things like that. But when it comes to some of the other newer page builders, they follow a different route, which is similar to how full site editing works. Because even with full site editing, we have what they call template parts and patterns, which is separate from the your regular templates, which are like your single post template, your archive templates, your custom search templates, 404 templates. Those are the templates, whereas your header, your footer, your sidebar, those are regarded as template parts because they just form part of the templates. They're not the template themselves, they're just part of the template. So that's the idea, and we'll be looking at it in this video. So just let me know in the comments if you're ready. I will give it a few minutes just to make sure that everything is in order before we begin. But for today's video, we're just going to be mostly looking at, let me try and open up my bricks template site as well, so that we can compare and contrast between the different page builders and see how all of them work. So I think I have a bricks site. And okay, so I have Elementor somewhere, I have bricks, I have Builderius, and which other page builder? Do I have Green Shift somewhere? Okay, let's say I'll use the full site editing as well. So I think I have a few that we can compare and we'll take a look. So first, let me go ahead and start with something like the Elementor's version and see how their own looks like. So I'll switch my screen now. And with Elementor, what we typically have is you go over to something like Elementor and then templates. Or let's go to Elementor and see what we have. So we have Elementor and the theme builder, I believe. Why is it not showing up? Theme builder. Okay, yes. Oh, it's low. Thank you. Is it better now? I think I've increased the volume a little bit. Let me know if the volume is okay. So we're talking about the templates in the different page builders. So let's see. So it's okay, templates and then theme builder. I was making a mistake. So in somewhere like Elementor, you go to the theme builder. That's where you build up your whole theme. And okay, thank you for confirming that the sound is better now. So yeah, like we were saying, with the Elementor's version, you have theme builder and you now have the header template, footer template, single post template, single page template, and so on. If you go to something like bricks, I believe this is bricks. Yes, bricks. It's same thing. You go to bricks and then templates. And oh, okay, I need to activate the license. Okay, let me see if I can quickly activate my license. But yeah, it's basically the same thing in bricks. You have templates, and then you have the single post template, you have the heading template, you have the header template, footer template, and all the other templates. So they all follow similar structure, which I guess in a way it's trying to make people to like have an understanding of like similar patterns so that they don't get confused. Okay, so we have the everything set up. Let me make sure everything is updated on this site. I think this is a blank site. Okay, so I can now go to, once it's finished updating, we can check it out. Okay, so it's updated. So if you go to bricks and then templates, it's something similar. If I create a new I just need to dismiss. Okay, add template. You see the same thing. Template type. We have header template, footer template, single template, section template, pop-up, archive, and so on. So these are how bricks and Elementor treat templates. They treat the header and the footer as templates. But if you now look at something like Builderius, or let's see if I can even pull up Edge somewhere. I think somebody created a demo site I can check out Edge on. I'm just going to pull it up on my other screen. But you see, with something like Builderius, if I go into my templates, what you have is just the regular templates. You have archive templates. Let me create a new one so you can all see. So we have front page, we have blog index. Front page is basically your home page. The blog index is your blog page. Then we have the all singular. Oh, my password has changed. Okay. Oh no, I don't have access to Edge anymore. So we have front page, we have blog index, all singular, which is basically all your single posts, your single page. They're all classified under all singular. That's like the general name. Then if you want to go more specific, you have posts, pages, media, and custom posts, all archives, and so on. So, but you wouldn't see header and footer, which is what was now making getting people confused. Okay, then how do we create our header and footer in Builderius? So the way Builderius works with their templates is, let me see if I can start. Okay, I'll first create a new release just so that I have a backup. So I'll create a new release and say this is 1.1 pre-templates. Release before template testing. Okay, so it has all of my templates. I can now create release. So I've created the release. So now I can go ahead and start editing however I like. So if I go to templates, or how everybody will normally start, we'll go to home. And I believe where the person was getting confused is when you choose minimal. So let's start with the first one. If you choose standard settings, if I go ahead and click standard settings and I say install, it will go ahead and install all of the templates. It will remove all the templates I already have and basically start it from the backup of Builderius, or at least the factory settings from the Builderius. So if I now go to templates, you see that it only has pages, posts, all archives, 404, and blog index templates. If I go into my pages template and I edit in Builderius, let's just choose one of the pages, about page. You'll see that it now automatically comes with a header, the main, and the footer. And the header is populated with some content. So this is how it will happen if you're using the minimal settings. You'll also have under selectors, you have some bunch of the Builderius core CSS, Builderius CSS framework, BCSS. So you can have some CSS already applied. Then if you go under CSS variables, you also have some variables from Builderius that you can use. But it already comes with a header template. So, but now let's go ahead and say we want to use the minimal settings. So I'll go back to my home. Okay, I'm already in home. I forgot. Home. And this time I'll choose minimal settings and say install. If I now go back to my page template, or I go back to my templates region, you now see that there are no templates, because if you choose the minimal settings, Builderius creates nothing. So there is no page template, no post template, no single, nothing. It will be blank, so that there is nothing interfering from Builderius. It is a what you see is what you get kind of scenario. So if you want to now create your template, you now start from scratch. So you create a new template, and let's say I'll start with the entire website. Save and open. I need to come with the header, the main, and the footer, but everything will be blank. So I think this is where some people are now getting it a little bit confused. How do I turn off this logo that keeps popping up? Okay, so the idea now is, okay, so how do we get a header into all of our templates? Because the fear is that, okay, if I now create a header template here, if I go to another template, I'll have to create a header template again and again and again. But what happens is these header and footer are components, which means that whatever you edit inside of the component will be applied across every other template. So it will work in any other template. So what do I mean? So let's go ahead and edit our site header template. I'll go ahead and click edit component. Then I'm now in the header template. I can now start building out my header. So how do you build out a header? You'd normally come with a, let's see. So I'll put maybe like a section. That section, I'll convert it into header. So that will be the site header, then the inner container to wrap the header. Then within the container, I would have something like maybe a link, and in fact, I'm just even going to build out the nav menu from scratch. So I'll put in a nav element. Just give me 1 minute. I'm having a phone call. Sorry for the delay. Somebody's seem to be having a... I'm just going to pick up, just get a call. But yeah, if you have any questions before we continue, just let me know. I don't know why. Okay. I think it's just a mistake. All right, so yeah. So like I was saying, so if you now build out everything from scratch in your template. So we have the header, we have the inner container for the header, the anchor, which will probably host your site logo. So let's put maybe an SVG. So that will be the site logo, and then we have a nav. So let me build a nav from scratch. Ideally, we just use the menu builder element, but for now, I still don't like how the menu builder was created, so I'm not using the menu builder myself. But you should use the menu builder. So let's say we want to create our own nav menu from scratch. Now put a nav, or let's say a div. The div, I'll convert it to the nav. Okay, so we have the nav, then I'll add a collection. The collection will be for my list of items. Then I'll have a button to open and close the menu. I'll have another collection and so on. But I think I already have one created, so I'll just copy that so I don't waste too much time. But you just get the idea. So let me just go ahead and add an image. Yeah, so exactly, like Vijay, that is exactly the point. You can have multiple headers and footer. You just create them as components, or you can even create everything within one component So what you do is you can create just that one header component, and then within that header you have multiple header like sections. You just create one header section, create another one, create like 3 or 4 different ones, and then apply some dynamic conditions to them so that each one of them will apply based on what template they're on and things like that. So there are so many different ways you can create the header template, unlike with bricks and all of those ones that create them as sections. With Builderius, you can create them as components. The added advantage of creating them as components is that you can make some parts static and some parts dynamic. So let's say you want on the home page the header to say one thing, but then maybe on other pages you want to add it as on the fly, not having to add it in like ACF or anything. You just want to add something static. We'll do a test quickly. I know I'm rambling a bit, but I'm trying to open up another page where I have some minimal CSS settings I can copy, because we're using the minimal settings. It comes with very little CSS, which means that everything will just be looking broken, and I don't want that. So I'm just going to copy some CSS, and I'll just paste it in the CSS section, just so I have something going on. Okay, so I have some CSS going on. Then let me now copy one of my header template that I had before. Okay, and I'll just paste that header template here. So paste, and that's this one. Okay, so basically it's the same thing. Like, oh, I forgot I'm even looking at, I had not switched my scene. Let me switch scenes. Yeah, sorry. So basically what I just did was I copied some CSS from my other site into the all CSS section, just so I have some CSS going on, so it's not looking broken. Then I went ahead and I just pasted a header from my other site into this site, and everything just works. So what do I mean by some added advantage of having the header as a component? So now let's say I want something like maybe a banner that just shows up in, let's say I want a banner below my header. So just a banner. Yeah, sorry about that. I forgot I was just showing my face. So let's see. So let's say I have a banner, and that banner is like, let me say it's a section or maybe an aside, and that banner is just supposed to show on different pages as something like a, let's see, something like maybe get started today, or one of those, adverts that you have with Black Friday deals. So let me move this is one issue I have with this thing, that sometimes moving things around is a bit of a headache. Ugh, I'm just giving up. Okay, so we have the section. Let's say it is a banner, and I'm just going to put a paragraph tag inside, and that's just going to be some banner link. Oh no, let me delete that and add a regular section so that it has an inner child inside, inner container, and I'll put in a paragraph text that just says some random banner. Then what I can now do is I can now create properties for the component, because the header, I created the header as a template, sorry, as a component. It means that I can do whatever I want with the header. I can add some static things to the header. So I can say, let's create a new property. So the property will be called maybe banner text, and it will be having some random banner. don't worry. Right now, we're still in version 1 of the components, so it only has basic text inside. Soon, the version 2 will be out, which has all the other features like your different logic types. So maybe a true-false toggle switch. You have the image. You have the text area, and so on. But right now, we only have a simple text area field or text field. So we have this connected. So let me now connect it to the random text. Okay, so I can now go ahead and save and exit. So now that I've created my header as a template, sorry, as a component, I keep switching the names. I've created my header as a component. This means that if I go ahead and create any other template, this header will be applied to that template. So if I go back to the Builderius menu, go to my templates, and say now I want to create something like the template for my posts, save and open. You see that that header template is still applied even to the next page. So that's the thing that I have been trying to explain, at least on the Facebook group, is that the moment the header and footer templates, they apply to every, let me say that again, the header and footer components, they apply to every template. So once you've created it in one template, it will apply to all the other templates because it is something that is like universal, is default on every template. You always have that header and footer. And you see, now that I have this random text, so let's say I've saved it on a template, I can now go to my, to like a post and convert and change this random text to something else. So let's say the header primary, what is it? Properties. I can now change this random text to something else. And that will only apply to my post template. So if I save it and go back to the first template, which is the entire website, open in Builderius, you see that that template had some random banner, whereas my post template has something else as the text, because I was able to create some component properties that apply specifically to my post template. But the thing you need to take home is that whenever you create any new templates, so any type of template you create at all, if I create a new template, let me refresh the page first. And I create a new template for my custom posts with the post type equal to book review. Then, okay, and I give it a name. So this is reviews single post or single template. Save and open. You see that that header is still applied even to this new template. So that means the header and the footer, whenever you just have to create it once, and it will apply to every template that you have. So you're not supposed to be afraid whether you're using the simple settings, that's the minimal settings, or you're using the standard settings with your Builderius CSS. It's still the same principle. You just need to create the header template once, and it will apply to every page. And you can go into your header template, edit component, and let me go ahead and delete the random section that I had before. And what you can now go ahead and do is something like maybe create multiple versions of your header within this one component, and then use some dynamic condition to show each header based on a certain condition if you want to do that. But ideally, I think for most websites, let's go ahead and see any random website, even the Bricks website, bricksbuilder.io, I believe that's how it's called. the header really doesn't change that much. Whether you're in the feature section, you're anywhere, the header, typically, you expect the header of a page to remain the same irrespective of which page you are, because that's the whole idea of creating like these websites, that you are trying to make things as familiar as possible to the users. So ideally you wouldn't have different headers for different pages, but if you wanted to have different header for different pages, then all you do is just create the different patterns in the header component, and you can now go ahead and use some display conditions to show one header component based on certain conditions. Like maybe if it's a post, then show the header with a blue background. If it's a page, show the header with a red background or something like that. You can do whatever you want. So I hope that answers that questions about the templates. If anybody is confused, please let me know in the comments so that we can go through it together. I'm just going to make sure I pull out the comments so that I don't miss it out. Okay. So yeah, I have the comments open. So if you have any questions, any comments about templates, let me know in the comments and then we will try to answer them. But basically that's just the idea. I wanted to just show that with the header and footer components, they are created every time you create a new template. They are applied to the template automatically. So the header, the main, and the footer are applied to all templates automatically. And if you ever mistakenly delete it, so let's say you delete the header component, all you have to do is just click on the elements and you see your global components within your reach. So you can just go ahead and add the header component again. And that's it. You have your header back in place. And like you see, I created other components like a card component. I've created a breadcrumb component and so on. So I've created different components that I use or I will be using, but I haven't started using the components fully yet, mainly because there will be some improvements soon. So I've just created simple components for now, just basic components I'm not really changing the data in. But once the new versions come out, then I'll create more template or more components for like my cards, the different types of cards that I might be using on my own website. But this is just a demo site for now, so I've just been playing around with the different features. But yeah, I hope that answers the question about components and templates. Builderius is quite powerful compared to like the full site editing, because if you go to full site editing, I'll go over to appearance and then editor. This is with full site editing, is a similar thing that you see there, that templates just contain your regular template. So you have the all archive, blog home, the index, the page no title, and so on. This is what is regarded as templates. But if you now go back and check under patterns, that's where you now see what they call template parts. The template parts is where you now have your header, your footer, and any other template part that you want to create. And then you have other things like some section template parts or like some section patterns. So in full site editing, that's how they make the distinction. Templates are your full structure. So your entire page with your header, your main, your footer, your sidebar, any other adverts at the top and everything is all combined together to form a template. Then they recognize that the header and the footer tend to appear on every page, so they classify those as template parts. That is in full site editing. Whereas in Builderius, we just classify all of them as components so that it is easy for you to not get confused and try to like get like too much information. You just know that anything that you're applying to the page, which will be reused in multiple places, are components. They can either be synced or unsynced. It doesn't matter, but they're all components. Whereas the entire structure is your template, and that's it. Okay, so let's see. What else can we try out today? If there are no questions, we might end the stream early. But yeah, I don't know if anybody has seen the video I did recently. Let me go to studio. Yeah, let's just go to the YouTube and my channel. So I don't know if anybody has seen the videos about ACPT in Builderius and how you can use ACPT. So I now realized why we can't use dashes for our keys in Builderius, and that's because Builderius, like just like you have in JavaScript and everything, a dash can oftentimes be misrepresented as a minus. So it will be performing the subtraction instead of seeing it as one single string. So that's why you avoid using dashes for your keys of your meta field. So I think even I believe is Jet Engine as well, they made that switch that they stopped using dashes for their meta field keys. They use underscores, but for your slugs of, like, let's say your post, your custom post type slug, you can use dashes because the slug is kind of like the value. Is post slug is the key, and then the actual slug itself is the value. Whereas with your meta fields, typically the what you are creating in the meta field is the key itself. So that's why you avoid for meta field keys, don't use dashes, use underscores. For your post slugs, you can use dashes, that is allowed. But for meta field keys, I would suggest that you avoid using dashes. So I will also suggest, even if you're using ACPT, try to avoid using dashes for your meta field keys. Try to change the dashes to underscores, and that will work across the board on any kind of page builder you're using. Otherwise, it might cause some conflicts with some page builders if they cannot accurately represent that dash as a string, and then they end up trying to evaluate the dash as a subtraction symbol. So, yeah. Okay, so that's it for that. If there are no other questions, I guess we might end the stream early. Unless you have a question. If you have, we can answer the questions. Otherwise, we just end it early. Let me go ahead and close. Before we end the stream, we can just quickly see how you would import something like Core Framework into Builderius. Because I know that was a question that I was asked a while back. Like, how will you use something like ACSS or Core Framework within Builderius? And it's actually quite simple. All you just do is you go to your Core Framework website. Just go ahead and you log in. Let's see. Then you just go to any of your projects that you've created. Once you've created a project that you're happy with it, you can go ahead and open in editor. Then you go and preview CSS, and you simply copy your CSS, or maybe you can copy the modified one, whichever one you want. Copy the CSS. Once that's copied, you now go into your Builderius page, go to selectors, then click on any selector, click on the CSS at the top left hand corner, go to all CSS, and you simply paste your CSS there, and that's it. You now have the Core Framework CSS installed. Then you can now go ahead and start using the CSS. But for now, I don't need that, so I'll just undo and save. And although, let's just test it out. So let me go to the bottom of my already imputed CSS, and then say this is for Core Framework. Paste it. Okay. So now that I've pasted the CSS, I can now start using any of these classes in the page. It will work. So I can save. Then maybe I'll create a new element. So let's go ahead and exit from the template. And maybe go to a page. Let's see, do I have any page open? No, so let me go to my dashboard, go to pages, and I will edit maybe the contact page, edit with Builderius. So now, you now notice that if I create a new section, maybe add a heading, I can now access any of those classes and CSS variables within Builderius. So I can go into my styles and maybe I want to have that flex. No, let me see. I want to add the color. So let's go and look at colors. So that will be under typography and color. There should be, so you can access all of the color variables that come from both Builderius, from I think it's Core Frameworks colors. Let's see. Colors, color primary. So let's try that. Double dash primary. And we have our color primary. If I want color tertiary, I just have to press the dash and search for tertiary, and you get it, and everything just works. So you can just, once you just copy your CSS from whether it is ACSS, Core Framework, as long as you can get the CSS, just copy it and paste it into Builderius, and that's it. It will just automatically be registered within Builderius, so you can get all of the classes, the variables, everything will be detected in Builderius, and then you can use it. But if you go ahead and install the plugin directly into your site, for now there is no direct integration, so the CSS will still work in the builder, but you wouldn't get that benefit of the autocomplete. That's the only difference. If you install the core framework directly in the builder, for now it's not having any direct connection. All the CSS will work, but you will not have that autocomplete. If you're using ACSS, I think ACSS has that side panel that you can use to quickly still search for your CSS classes and variables that you may need. So that will still make it easy to work with. I'll just quickly see if I have a site with ACSS installed, and we can test it out. ACSS. No, I don't. Let me. Oh, I might have one. Let me just see if I have one. Oh, I think I do. No, I don't. It's not connected. Oh, I thought I had one with ACSS installed. I could have just used that and we could test it. I'll just quickly search one last time. Where's the... Okay, it's not... No, I don't. Maybe in a future video, I'll just show how you might potentially use ACSS within Builderius, maybe like a 2-minute short or something like that, something simple. But yeah, that's basically what I wanted to show for Builderius. Since there are no questions, I think we'll end the stream here today. Just if you ever have any issues or any questions, just let me know in the comments. I will come back to the comments and read the comments, and I can like use it in the future to create a video or write a response. If it's a simple response, I'll just write a response. Otherwise, we'll see you next week. Enjoy the Halloween discounts. You can check out my website. I will try to update the website today with all the discounts that I know of, so you can go ahead and If you want to ever purchase any plugin, you can go ahead and check out the discounts, and that will be that. So I'll see you next time.